Have you ever stopped to think about what happens when an entire industry just changes overnight? We're about to dive into one of the biggest organizational restructures in all of history. But, this didn't happen at some tech startup or a big car company. Nope. This happened 3,000 years ago at an ancient temple. And the story behind it is, honestly, a masterclass in how you manage massive, massive change.
So let's just start with this question. Imagine the core skill you've built your whole life around, the thing your family has done for generations, suddenly becomes completely useless. That is the exact crisis that an entire tribe in ancient Israel was facing. It's a question that feels so modern, right? But the story is about as ancient as it gets. All right, so here's the setup. King David. He's getting near the end of his long, pretty successful reign. The kingdom is finally stable, it's peaceful, it's doing well, but this brand new stability creates a totally unexpected problem for one very specific group of people. An identity crisis, really.
See, for centuries, the spiritual center of the nation, the Ark of the Covenant, was kept in a portable tent, the tabernacle. It was always on the move. But now, it's been brought to its final home in Jerusalem. The wandering has stopped. And for the people whose entire job, whose entire purpose was to manage that wandering, well, this was basically a catastrophe.
I mean, the contrast here is just night and day. For generations, the tribe of Levi had this one huge, sacred duty: pack up, carry, and set up the tabernacle and all its holy objects. You could call them the ultimate holy roadies. But with a permanent temple about to be built, their entire purpose, their whole skill set, became obsolete, almost overnight.
So what do you do with a huge, highly specialized workforce that's suddenly, unemployed? King David didn't just hand out pink slips. Instead, he kicked off this massive reorganization, a complete reimagining of what this tribe could be for the kingdom.
And the scale of this, it's just staggering. A census was taken of every single Levite man 30 years and older, and the final head count, 38,000 people. This wasn't some little departmental shuffle. This was a complete overhaul of an entire population.
And David's plan was nothing short of brilliant. He didn't just give them busy work. He created 4 new, absolutely essential divisions that would become the foundation of this new temple. The biggest group, 24,000 men, would handle all temple operations. Then you have 6,000 who became officials and judges. And then 2 groups of 4,000 each, one for security and one for music. I mean, this is strategic workforce planning on an absolutely epic scale. So what did these new jobs actually look like day to day? Because this wasn't just a new job title. This was a fundamental shift from a life of heavy physical labor to one of institutional management and oversight.
Okay, that massive group of 24,000, they became the temple's core operations team. Their job was to supervise everything, making sure all the rituals, the maintenance, the daily work of this huge complex just ran like a well-oiled machine. They were the engine room of the whole operation.
Then you had the next group, 6,000 of them, and their roles actually went beyond the temple walls. They became the nation's administrators and judges, kind of like a religious civil service, handling disputes and managing civic stuff all across the land.
Next up, a force of 4,000 gatekeepers. And this was way more than just being a security guard. They were the guardians of a sacred space. They were in charge of managing who comes and goes, keeping order, and protecting one of the most important places in the entire kingdom.
And finally, this is my personal favorite: 4,000 full-time professional musicians. This was huge. It basically established worship as a core, state-sponsored institution. Their only job was to lead the nation in praise, with instruments that King David himself provided. It was essentially a national symphony and choir.
So the bottom line is, their daily lives were completely transformed. Instead of packing and moving, their new routine was all about assisting the priests, managing the temple grounds, purifying sacred items, getting offerings ready, all the way down to leading praise every single morning and evening. It was a total shift from this sporadic, heavy work to a constant daily.
Now, how in the world do you staff a 38,000-person organization back then? You're not exactly posting jobs on an ancient version of LinkedIn. You turn to the oldest organizational structure there is, the family.
The whole tribe, all 38,000 of them, trace their lineage back to one guy, Levi, and his 3 sons, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. They became the heads of the 3 main divisions. This ancient family tree literally became the blueprint for the new temple org chart.
And if you zoom in on just one of these branches, the Kohathites, you can see how it worked. This was not a random assignment. It was all based on heritage. So for instance, the descendants of Aaron, who had always been priests, were formally made the high priests. Even the sons of the famous leader Moses were given specific roles in this new structure. It shows that everybody had a designated place in this grand plan.
So you see, this was never just about finding new jobs for a bunch of people. David was doing something so much bigger. He was taking a nomadic tribe and turning it into a permanent institution, something designed to serve the nation for centuries to come.
This slide really just sums it all up, doesn't it? Their whole purpose shifted from transporting holiness to maintaining holiness. Their rhythm changed from nomadic and sporadic to daily and constant, and their entire structure went from being a mobile unit to becoming the bedrock of a permanent institution.
And here we have David's own words, his reasoning for this whole thing. He saw that this new era of rest and permanence for the nation demanded a new structure for its spiritual servants. The old way of doing things just didn't fit the new reality anymore. It was that simple.
So what's the big takeaway here? This is just a masterful case study in managing change. David didn't just prevent mass unemployment. He took an entire workforce that was on the brink of being obsolete and completely transformed their skills, their structure, and their identity, creating the institutional backbone for the kingdom's worship that would last for generations.
And all of this leaves us with a pretty powerful question, right? David's reorg was all about future-proofing his people's most sacred institution. And it really makes you wonder, in our own world, which is changing faster than ever, what does it actually take to build something, a company, a community, a legacy, that is truly designed to last?